Alright, welcome back to New Industrial Age Part 3. Okay, we talked about the beginning of labor unions forming due to harsh working conditions. Now we're continuing on where we left off. Alright, we're also going to see craft unions being made for people who work in a specific trade. It's like a blacksmith or silversmith, people that make a specific item. So Sam Gompers was famous for leading the Cigar Makers International Union, and he began to join with other craft unions in 1886, and eventually he became president of the American Federation of Labor. He helped focus on collective bargaining to help improve conditions for workers, wages, and hours that were minimized. 8-hour workday would soon become the norm. Now, some unions were designed for a specific industry, and we'll see a Eugene Debs attempts an industrial union for railway workers. And it's, for example, in 1894, Eugene Debs leads a new union to win a strike for higher wages, and in its peak, it had 150,000 members. Some unionists will also turn to a new idea called socialism. Alright, this is an economic and political system based on government control of business and property and an equal distribution of wealth among all citizens. Okay? And so, for example, we also see another union group called the IWW, or known as International Workers of the World. Okay, and the IWW and the AFL are going to become the two of the biggest labor union groups in America. Many strikes are going to begin to turn violent in the late 19th century. We're going to see workers clash with owners. In 1877, we have the Great Strike of 77, where in Baltimore, workers on the Ohio Railroad will strike to protest wage cuts. We'll see other rail workers across the country strike in sympathy, and federal troops will be called in to end this strike in Baltimore. We also have the Haymarket Affair, where labor leaders will continue to push for change. And on May 4th, 1886, 3,000 people will gather at Chicago's Haymarket Square to protest police treatment of striking workers. A bomb will explode near the police line. 7 cops will die, as well as several other workers. Radicals will be rounded up and executed for the crime. And the anarchists, they're going to be known as Chicago anarchists, will be put on trial. Okay. We also have the Homestead Strike. Even Carnegie himself, his workers eventually striked. The conditions and wages were not satisfactory in the steel plant in Pennsylvania, and so workers will strike in 1892, and Carnegie will hire what are known as the Pinkerton detectives to guard the plant and allow scabs to work. Okay? The detectives and the strikers will clash. 3 detectives and 9 strikers died. The National Guard will be put in to restore order, and the workers will return to work. We also have the Pullman Strike, okay, like the one we mentioned a bit earlier. Similar. So Pullman is going to lay off thousands of workers and cut wages. The workers go on strike in the spring of 1894, and Eugene Debs, who was with the American Railroad Union, tried to settle the dispute, and it turned violent. Pullman is going to hire scabs, hired soldiers, and he fired the strikers. Federal troops are also brought in to deal with this, and Eugene Debs was put in jail. We're also going to see women organize. Even though women were barred from most unions, they helped organize powerful leaders such as Mary Harris Jones. She organized the United Mine Workers of America. Mine workers would give her the nickname Mother Jones. And Pauline Newman would organize the International Ladies Garment Workers Union at the age of 16. So the more powerful the unions became, the more employers came to fear them. Most employers forbade union meetings, and they refused to recognize unions. Employers forced new workers to sign yellow dog contracts where they would swear that they would never join a union, And despite these efforts, the AFL would continue to have over 2 million members by 1914. Alright, so let's review things we talked about this set of notes. We talked about new inventions, typewriter, telephone, oil, steel, the Bessemer process. We also looked at how railroads changed life, new time zones, we talked about how many Americans died in the building of the first transcontinental railroad. We also covered how specifically Chinese Americans that immigrated over. We talked about uh, terrible working conditions and how that would lead to the birth of unions and how they would fight back against these corrupt businesses. We talked about robber barons, and despite being considered terrible people, gave back a lot of their wealth to the community. Carnegie built houses, Rockefeller and others built schools. Wait, did I say houses? No, Carnegie built libraries. We'll also see how learn about Carnegie, how he used vertical and horizontal integration in his business. And others will follow suit, especially Rockefeller. And they will become tycoons in oil and steel. Rockefeller for oil and Carnegie for steel. Alright, that's just a quick review summary of everything we talked about. Be sure you look back over these videos, and because we will be covering them again at some point. Thank you for paying attention.